Back again. I'm back again. How you doing today? I know you're saying, Rob, man. uh, what's going on? All right, nothing much. Nothing much. Nothing much. Nothing much. Let me get myself back up here. Where am I? Still trying to get used to this software. There I go. Anyway, how you doing? I'm going to make this quick. I said I was going to look into the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, and find out a little bit about him. And the best way I can tell you is through the little things that I found about him. Uh, his name is Chokwe Antor Lumumba. He is born. He's an American attorney, activist, politician serving the 53rd mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, the seventh consecutive African American to hold a position. He was elected in 2017 in the primaries. Lumumba soundly won the Democratic nomination, defeating both incumbent mayors Tony Yarborough and State Senator John Horton. Lumumba went on to win the general election in a landslide. He is the self-described progressive and socialist. Lumumba has already referred to himself as a political revolutionary. Now, people like to throw that term out like it's anything, political revolutionists, and there's nothing wrong with the term if you about it. If you really serious about a political revolution, and you don't just look at the ballot box, as Marion Williams would say, a political revolution at the ballot box. Political revolution at the ballot box is one way. Political revolution on the streets is the best way. The best way. And when I say streets, I mean from the streets, from the grassroots is the best way to get something done. It's not going to the ballot box because you're going to get disappointed all the time. Martin Luther King did a political revolution. He did a revolution from the streets that applied the pressure on politicians to bend the knee because the streets there was a groundswell in the streets that made things happen. So, yes, he ran as a Democratic. He didn't run as a third party. And like I said, in some cases, it's warranted depending on where you're from. But when it comes to a level like, when you're going to U.S. Senate and things like that, there's different levels to this game. And sometimes running in the Democratic Party is just a waste of time, or running in the Republican Party is a waste of time. You need to break off. Malcolm X he started the Black Nationalist Party, and people tend to think Black nationalists mean a black takeover, black people want to take over. No, it was a Black nationalist mean we need to start building within our own selves and take power that way by building within our own community, gaining the financial power to begin to dictate who gets to run things when it comes to us. And if you are going to be running for office, then the only way you're going to get our support is you need to run on our positions, run on our platform, not one you came up with, not one you thought of, but the one we handed to you. We giving you our mission, and we need you to run with it. And in order to get our support, you run with our mission. Well, the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, learned that from his father. Now, I'm going to introduce to you his father in this situation. Again, let me repeat to you who Chokwe Antor Lumumba is. African American, who seventh consecutive African American to hold a position. So this position in Jackson, Mississippi, has been held by black politicians, not white, black. Elected in 2017, soundly won the Democratic nomination, defeating the incumbent Tony Yarborough, John Horton. He is a progressive and a socialist. Again, progressive and socialist is not a party position. It's an ideology. Where did he get this progressive and socialist position from? He is the son of former mayor and black nationalist activist Chokwe Lumumba. Black nationalist Now let's see what they term black nationalists in Wikipedia. Black nationalism is a type of racial nationalism or pan-nationalism or pan-Africanism, espouse the belief that black people are a race and seeks to develop and maintain a black racial and national identity. Black nationalist activism revolves around social, political, and economic empowerment. It's not designed around black takeover of the world, like white nationalism oftentimes is phrased to be. Well, let's look at his dad. Chokwe Lumumba was an American attorney, activist, politician who was affiliated with the Black Nationalist Organization, Republic of New Africa, and served as a second vice president. He served as human rights lawyer in Michigan and Mississippi. In 2013, after serving on the city council, he was elected as mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. He was born in Detroit as Edwin Finley Taliaferro and was raised there. He changed his name in 1969, joining the Republic of New Africa. He was born in Detroit, Michigan. Edwin Taliaferro, the second of 8 children of Lucien Taliaferro from Kansas and Priscilla from Alabama. Some of the 4 Bs were said to be Cherokee, as Black Cherokee. His parents had each moved to Detroit in Great Migration in the early 20th century. Raised a Catholic, he graduated from St. Teresa High School in Detroit. He served the president of the student council, captain of the football team. As a young man, he witnessed police brutality. His mother would stand with her children on corners collecting money for the Student Nonviolence Coordination Committee, and she impressed on her son the important role of political activism and civil rights. Key word. Now, that's the thing about it. His mother trained him to be about it when it comes to activism and pushing a Black agenda in the political arena, and this is what this guy did. The assassination of Martin Luther King on April 4th in 1968 had a deep effect on young Lumumba. The day following King's assassination, he took part in the occupation of a university building, at Western Michigan University. Student protests the lack of African-American faculty, among other academic demands. He majored in political science and graduated from Kalamazoo College in 1969, where he formed the Black United Front to advocate for African-American studies in Midwest higher educational institutions. So he was about it. All right, so we're going to get a little brief into Chokwe Lumumba. This is Amy. I was going to say Amy Grant with Democracy Now! And they're going to do a tribute to him because he passed away at that time, I think. And they were doing some tributes to him. But let's see. I think this is it.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. In our last segment today, we end in Mississippi.
Don't shop for anything on Capitol Street. Let's let the merchants down on Capitol Street feel the economic pinch. Let me say this to you. I had one merchant to call me, and he said, I want you to know that I've talked to my national office today, and they want me to tell you that we don't need nigger business. These are stores that help to support the White Citizens Council, the council that is dedicated to keeping you and I second-class citizens. Now, finally, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be demonstrating here until freedom comes to Negroes here in Jackson, Mississippi.
Now, it's Medgar Evers. Had a position of Black nationalism, basically empowering Black people to begin to go back to structuring their own communities, not disregarding the white communities, But understanding that right now, white communities are not going to accept you, so you might as well build your own. And even when they accept you, you still need to be your own, build your own as reinforcement. You need to bank black, you need to do black, you need to eat black, you need to, you know, and if whites want to come, open the doors, they're welcome to come, but they have to do the same thing for us when we go to their neighborhoods. That was Medgar Evers. That was the Black Panther position. That was the position of Malcolm X. That was the position of Elijah Muhammad. We need to build our own nation. Now, Elijah Muhammad's a little bit further than that. We need our own land to have our own nation. You know, most people are talking about we need to build a nation in this nation. And Chokwe was that type of person.
Those are the words of the civil rights leader Medgar Evers in May 1963. Just a few weeks later, on June 13th, 1963, Evers was shot dead by a Klansman in his driveway in Jackson, Mississippi.
So whenever black people start to talk about empowering themselves, begin to think of themselves as equals, not above, as equals, some people can't take it. Some people lose their freaking mind. They got to snuff you out. This man was saying, look, we're not going to do business. We're going to give you what you want. We're not going to do business with you. We're going to focus on building our own. That ain't enough. We don't want you building jack. We don't want you trying to climb up a equality ladder.
Medgar Evers was the state's first NAACP's field secretary. He was killed just hours after President John F. Kennedy delivered a nationally televised speech in which he proposed the Civil Rights Act of 1964. At the time of his death, he was carrying NAACP T-shirts that read, "Jim Crow must go." Commemorations are being held this month to mark the 50th anniversary of the assassination of Medgar Evers. Well, Jackson, Mississippi is back in the news this week after veteran black nationalist and civil rights attorney Chokwe Lumumba was elected mayor of the city. He describes himself as a Fannie Lou Hamer Democrat, and he surprised many political observers by winning the Democratic primary last month, despite being outspent 5-1.
Now, I got a problem with Democrats claiming to be a civil rights Democrat. Don't say that, man. Just don't say nothing. I'm a Fannie Lou Hamer Democrat. I'm a Shirley Chisholm Democrat. No, just say I channel the spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer. I channel the spirit of Shirley Chisholm. I channel the spirit. Don't mention that you're a Democrat, because folks don't care about that. We care about the channel that you're spiriting, the spirit that you're channeling. I mean, I'm not a fan of spirit channeling anyway, but I'm saying I have the mindset of a Malcolm X. I have a mindset of a Medgar Evers. I have the mindset of a Louis Houghton. You know, I'm running in the Democratic Party, but that's just where I'm running at. But this is my mindset. I'm that mindset whether I'm in the Democratic Party or not. That's just who I be. But, you know, some people just feel they got to say that stuff.
Lumumba then easily won the general election on Tuesday. Over the past 4 decades, Lumumba has been deeply involved in numerous political and legal campaigns. As an attorney, his clients have included former Black Panther Assata Shakur and the late hip-hop artist Tupac Shakur. 2 years ago, he helped win the release of the Scott sisters, 2 young women from Mississippi who received double life sentences for a robbery that netted them $11. They were released after 16 years in prison.
As a political organizer, Chokwe Lumumba served for years as vice president of the Republic of New Africa, an organization which advocated for an independent, predominantly black government in the southeastern United States and reparations for slavery. He also helped found the National Black Human Rights Coalition and the Malcolm X.
In other words, he was about it. He's not just your normal politician. He actually went out to do some work.
Grassroots movement and worked with the Jackson Human Rights Coalition to help pressure the state of Mississippi to retry the person who murdered Medgar Evers. In 2009, Lumumba was elected to the Jackson City Council. Chokwe Lumumba, mayor-elect of Jackson, Mississippi, joins us now from Jackson. Welcome to Democracy Now! Congratulations on your victory. What do you attribute it to after all these years, and why did you decide from being involved with grassroots organizing for so many decades to get involved with electoral politics?
Thank you for having me, and
Now y'all saying he look like a white guy.
shout out and thank you to your listening audience.
You do.
I attribute the
You black
victory
all
that
day,
we
though.
had to this last week to the people of Jackson, who were more than ready to have leadership that was forward-looking and ready to raise Jackson to a different level of development, ready to embrace the ideas that all government should do the most to protect the human rights of the people in that jurisdiction. And we were very pleased with the outcoming of people to vote, with their participation, and with their continued support. I'm now running for the mayor, or have in fact won the mayor of the city of Jackson, because I think it's necessary. We are a population here now in the need of a lot of development. Development is one of the tracks, or one of the roads to human rights and to the recognition of human rights, especially.
Now I got to stop this every now and then so I don't get strike with a strike, because fair use, YouTube, fair use.
There are economic human rights, and some of that development is going to take the kind of leadership and the kind of consistency that we had in the struggle for voting rights and other kinds of rights, which has been unique to our history.
Well, Chokwe Lumumba, I'm not sure that many people around the country understand the symbolism of Jackson, Mississippi, as a center of racism and racial oppression over centuries. The very name of the city was named after Andrew Jackson by the white settlers when Jackson in 1820 was able, as an Indian commissioner, to basically pressure the Choctaw Indians to give up 13 million acres of land and move to Oklahoma in the Treaty of Doak Stand. And that's why the white settlers named the city after Jackson, because of his success at ethnic cleansing. And then, of course,
And this is the same thing that's going on with his son now in Jackson, Mississippi. They're trying to ethnic cleanse Jackson, Mississippi by redistricting and doing this bill that his son got to deal with right now, where they trying to take old Jackson, Mississippi back because of this. This town was named after the Andrew Jackson, and we got to get it back in the name of Andrew Jackson, not Michael Jackson, not Joe Jackson, Bo Jackson, none of those black Jackson. We got to get it back for Andrew Jackson.
its history throughout through slavery and Jim Crow. How did this change occur? How were you able to put this coalition to be elected, given your history as a radical and an activist in the Black liberation struggle?
I think it's a tribute to our consistency. It's a tribute to our refusal to say that we would bow to the oppression that was around us. It's a tremendous story of our people. You talked about Medgar Evers, but the continuation since Medgar Evers, fighting against oppression, fighting against economic oppression, fighting against the kinds of things which have surfaced in our decades, which are similar to the kinds of things you cite in the distant history of Jackson. We have been persistent, and with that persistency, our people now are ready to move to a different level of development. And I should say that people should take a note of Jackson, because we have suffered some of the worst kinds of abuses in history, but we're about to make some advances and some strides in the development of human rights and the protection of human rights that I think have not been seen in other parts of the country. And I want to caution folks that we got to be careful now when we talk about any one particular place in the United States. All over, we've seen intense oppression. I'm from Detroit initially, and we've seen a lot of oppression there historically as well as currently. New York has certainly seen its share. Washington, D.C. has seen its share. So we don't want to be like people on different plantations arguing about which plantation is worse. What we have to do is to correct the whole problem. And we're about correcting the problem here in Jackson. And we're going to be inviting people to come here, and people want to come here in order to participate in the struggle forward. And this is not a phony struggle. We're not just putting a false face. We tell you we've had real problems. We still have some real problems, but we're solving these problems, and we're going to try to solve a lot of them through economic development, which is going to involve the masses of the people, not just a few folks.
Can you tell?
And see, this is why I'm kind of glad that I decided to look into this, because we have to understand our mission as Black people, and then as people in general. Now, my Black brothers and sisters has to understand it's all about us getting on code. We all got to come together and be on code, just like every other community come together and be on code. On code just mean we have an agenda and we're focused on the agenda first. Anything else is secondary. I can focus on healthcare. I can focus on environmental protection. I got friends that are in those areas and that's their thing. My focus right now is financial economic equality with my community, with the majority of the public, with the majority here in the United States. The white wealth gap and the white Black gap is too huge, and it's supposed, and I say Black, I mean foundational Black American, Native Black American, FBA, NBA. That gap should not, there should be no gap, because we built this thing equally together. So we should get equal the wealth. Now, I know you guys came in, anybody after, this ain't got nothing to do with you. If you came in after that time of slavery and you want to make your claim on certain things, you do that. But we got to stay on focus and get that claim taken care of here first as a priority. It's our priority, nothing else. And we're on the verge of freaking nuclear war. We're still not getting off that. The world has all kind of disastrous stuff going on environmentally, but we can't get off of that, because as people who are spiritual, we believe a lot of these things are happening because you're not righting the wrong. There's a scripture say, "Oh, no man but to love them." In the United States, you don't need to owe no man. You don't owe no, the only thing you're supposed to owe man is love. So that means you pay your bills, pay your debts. That way, the only thing that you have to give man is love. The United States have robbed Black Americans. Native Americans are getting paybacks consistently, and a lot of that is coming out of Black dollars. Asians getting a payback for the discrimination that they dealt with during the World War I and II. A lot of Black dollars are going toward that. I can go on and on and on, but where is the economic and financial payback? We will not consider, there's no such thing as equal rights until that is done. And you got real ones like this guy who fought for that.
Tell us about your platform and the Jackson Kush plan.
Well, the platform is to advance the ideas of development and to advance the ideas of empowerment of the populations which exist in the city of Jackson specifically.
Black people.
We have a population, a demographic here. 80% of the population is Black, about 20% is white, and we have with us brothers and sisters who are East Indian origin, as well as some Asian and some Hispanic folks coming in. Our slogan was one city, one aim, one destiny. And the idea is to blend these populations into a struggle forward. There are some people historically who have always tried to separate the populations and to have a certain portion of the population oppress the rest of the population. We're not going to tolerate that. We're going to move ahead. We're going to let everyone.
And this is kind of remind me of Dr. Martin Luther King, that even though his latter part, people thought he said we're coming to get our check, that means economic empowerment for poor whites and stuff like that. No, that was the Poor People's Campaign. He was going away from the poor. He was on the close of the Poor People's Campaign. And the next campaign he was going for was financial economic equality for Black people. He said so in the many speeches, including that speech on NBC. But he was smart to utilize the support of people from outside of the Black community. He didn't neglect or not tell Black people to be on code, but he said, look, we may have to allied, but whether we allied or not, we still going for it, whether you want to be a part of us or not. If we have to work with Asians, Jews, Indians to make this happen, then fine. But we're not going to wait on them. We're moving forward. But we can use their help. We can have their help. Even white people. I can go on with the many white people that helped out in the civil rights struggle. A lot who lost their lives. You hear about the Mississippi ones, but no, there was a lot of white people that was hung and burned fighting for Black rights because they knew it was the moral thing to do. And a lot of reasons, I personally believe a lot of reasons why we got this environmental weakness in our environment and weakness in this and that is because morally, this country haven't did right by is the people who built this country. He's saying that, look, everybody need to rally around that. If you want to get America in the right track, everybody need to rally around these issues. We don't need nobody dividing. We're not trying to exclude you. We include you, but whether you want to join us or not, we're moving forward.
Want to participate in this movement forward. We're going to invite everyone to participate in this movement forward. And we have formed like a people's assembly. That's key to what we've done here, where we have every 3 months, the population can come out and participate in open forum to say what's on their mind. They can come out and learn some of the problems that the city is facing and some of the solutions that some of the problem solvers are supposed to be offering. And this will bring about more public education and political education to the population of the city, make our population more prepared to be motivated and organized in order to participate in the changes which must occur in the city of Jackson in order to move it forward. We say the people must decide. Educate, motivate, organize. That's the slogan we use.
Now, you notice he's not talking about all this other stuff that the Democratic Party is talking about. Oh, this right, that right. But no, he's staying focused on this. But, this is the daddy now. This is not the son. The daddy passed away. The son is now the mayor. But you got to understand where people come from. They say that it's supposed to be this way. The apple don't fall from the tree. George Bush was no different from his daddy.
That's right.
And in terms of the city council as well in Jackson, were there other folks who ran on a platform with you, and do you expect much difficulty in getting measures passed through your local city council?
Well, no. I think we're going to do quite well. And let me say that there's only one other person who actually ran from the same basis of organization that I come from, which is the Malcolm X grassroots movement. She was not successful in winning the election, but we have really a pretty good city council. I mean, a very good city council, I think, has come into place. We got 3 young men on the city council who are in their 30s, bright, forward-thinking, very progressive. We have an older brother who is an old school teacher, and he is a person who I think is going to make a contribution to what we're doing. We have a person from Ward 7 who is a white Democrat, and she has always been consistent in supporting a forward movement. And we have one Republican on the city council from Ward.
What? So you tell me he got Black nationalists, Republicans, a Republican and a Democratic on the thing? See, that's what I say. You got to go beyond these political parties, get that out your head, and you got to stay focused on the agenda. I don't give a crap about what party you're in. What have you done, what you plan on doing, and what are you doing now? That matters to me. I need to see some receipts. You're not going to tell me you're going to do all these things for me and you never really did it before.
One. And he is a person who I think understands the political climate and is going to move forward too.
Chokwe
So I think we're
Lumumba,
going to be all right.
we just have 30 seconds. I wanted to ask you quickly about the news in this past month that Assata Shakur has been the first woman to be placed by the FBI on the terrorist list. You represented her decades ago. Your thoughts? They've also increased the bounty for her. She took refuge in Cuba to $2 million.
Well, I've always felt that Assata Shakur was wrongfully convicted, so she shouldn't be on a wanted list at all. She should have been in prison. She was actually shot herself and wounded and paralyzed at the time that the person who she was convicted of killing was shot. So she obviously couldn't have shot him. And she also was arrested, which caused the incident, for about 8 different charges, which she later was found not guilty of or were dismissed. So I think it's unfortunate. Assata Shakur, I believe, will historically be proven to be a hero of our times.
Chokwe Lumumba, we're going to have to leave it there. Mayor-elect of Jackson, Mississippi, thanks for joining.
So just letting you know what kind of stock this brother got. We're not going to go through this 8 minutes, but you got a good idea of who his dad was.
Lumumba. I'm an attorney. I'm the city councilman of Jackson, Mississippi, and I'm the chairman of an organization called the New African Peoples Organization. And I just want to know, can I kick it? Of Detroit. And I got, when you call fat man and stuff, you get picked on a lot, right?
All right, so I'm not going to go this, but you get a chance, you go to the Mississippi Public Broadcasting website, YouTube channel, and watch this. This is pretty good too, but I'm not going to go to it. Let's go to his son. I just want you to know, because when I hear about these things going on in Mississippi, I don't think his dad would have put up with this stuff. So my thing is, what have you learned from your dad? Now, obviously, 9 times 10, he's not an African from Africa because his name is Chokwe Lumumba. His dad is American. 9 times 10, he's an FBA who got involved with the Black empowerment movement and decided to take on an African name, Chokwe Lumumba, and begin to name his kids. It's just like Malcolm X was not originally Malcolm X. Martin Luther King wasn't even originally Martin Luther King. But a lot of our people took on African names during that time because we were proud to be Black. We're proud to represent our heritage, which we should be, and you should be too, of your heritage. And we took on Black names. So his dad passed away as mayor. Chokwe Antar Lumumba, the current seated mayor, is following his footsteps. He's also an American attorney, activist, and politician, serving the 53rd mayor of Jackson, Mississippi. I know a lady in Virginia, her house looked just like that. African-American to hold a position. He was elected in 2017, primarily, we went through this, progressive socialist. He's the son of former mayor and Black nationalist. So obviously his dad taught him some things. And when he got elected as mayor, he began to do his speech. And this is also from Democracy Now!
DemocracyNow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we end the show today in Jackson, Mississippi, we're just 1 week from today. Social justice activist and attorney Chokwe Antar Lumumba will be sworn in as Jackson's next mayor. Earlier this month, Lumumba won the general election in a landslide after handily winning a primary election in May. This is Chokwe Antar Lumumba celebrating his general election victory with supporters.
Free the land! 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 I need you to stand strong as we go forward. There are people who doubt your resolve, doubt that this city can be everything that it will be. And so you can't give up now. I say when I become mayor, you become mayor. So that means y'all got some work to do.
Chokwe Chokwe Lumumba is the son of the late Jackson Mayor Chokwe Lumumba, a longtime Black nationalist organizer and attorney dubbed America's most revolutionary mayor before his death in 2014. The 34-year-old Chokwe Antar Lumumba supports Economic Democracy's proposed a civic incubator fund to support cooperative member-owned businesses in Jackson. Shortly after his election, Lumumba was a featured speaker just a few weeks ago at the People's Summit in Chicago.
Remember that?
I bring greetings from Jackson, Mississippi. Where
This is the same summit that Kyle Kalinske spoke at. This is the same summit I think Chink Yuga spoke at. I think my boy Tim Black spoke at this event too. This is the same place where Crystal Ball spoke at, the People's Summit. See, folks, you got to understand, just cause somebody running the Democratic Party, they're not, don't mean that they're for you, don't mean that they're against you always either. Some people take the position of, I'm an activist. Whether I'm running as a Republican or Democrat, I'm an activist. Me, I stand to take the position that you can't really get much done on a national level dealing with these political parties. Locally, you might can maneuver third party, because third party here in New York City, third party is no problem here in New York City, but it's a problem in a lot of areas. But you can't give up. You can't quit. You can't encourage people to say it's going to take 30 years to make this happen, so forget that mess. Come over here and vote for me. No, I'm only going to vote on you based on how you legislate or how you operate within the community. If you're not operating with the community, I ain't gonna vote for you. I don't care who you are. Now, Chokwe Dad operated within the community aggressively, building Black movements and pushing Black empowerment, but yet at the same time, he didn't neglect other people of other cultures. He included them in his process. Now, his son is in charge now. Let's listen to him.
I have recently been named mayor-elect of Jackson, Mississippi. In this process, we defeated a field of 16 people.
16.
We were able to secure the general election with 94% of the vote.
16 people. So I guarantee you, when the Democratic Party saw a true radical, the son of a true radical, it's like Martin Luther King Jr., not Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, let's say Malcolm X Jr. was running for office and he decided to run in the Democratic Party. You don't think the Democratic Party is going to try to drown him out? Because they don't want Black liberation. They don't want Black empowerment. They want to talk like they do, but they really don't want to. All they want to do is continue this struggle of white domination. They don't want true equality. Same with the Republicans. Two wings on the same bird. White as a dove. And think they're better than everybody. And when Black people start empowering themselves, they want to control that Black person because they're not going to let him get too radical, too Black. That's what happened with Barack Obama. When Barack Obama, they found out about his pastor and all that, yo, that's too Black. No, that man had to distance himself from his pastor on behalf of these people. I want to distance myself from my pastor, especially if he's right. But no, I gotta win this presidency by any means necessary. This brother's saying, look, we need to legislate for the community by any means necessary. When I go to the white mayor's mansion, you go to the mayor's mansion. Well, listen to him some more. 12 people.
And more important,
and he won with 90% of the vote.
We did so on a people's platform. on a people's platform where from the moment we announced, we did so saying that we were running on an agenda of social justice, of economic democracy, and working with people, making certain that people had a voice. And that's our story, and we're sticking to it. All right. As we look at the condition of our country, as we consider the fact that we're in Trump times, we have all kinds of questions of what that means. And when I've been confronted with the question of how do you feel in Jackson, Mississippi after the Trump election, what I had to share with people is after the Wednesday after the election, I woke up in Jackson, Mississippi. And what that means is no matter whether our country has experienced great booms or busts, in Mississippi, we've always been at the bottom. And so what that means is that we have to decide that we are going to rescue ourselves. That in places of like Jackson, Mississippi, we won't allow it to become havens of oppression, which endanger all of us. So what happens in Jackson, Mississippi impacts each and every one of us. And so we have to make the decision that we're going to start controlling the way electoral politics proceeds. And so we've made the decision that we're going to be the most radical city on the planet, that we're going to make certain that we change the whole scope of electoral politics. No longer will we allow an individual to step before us and tell us all of the great things that they're going to accomplish on our behalf, only to find that nothing in their past demonstrates a sincerity, a willingness, or an ability to do so.
And that's been my stand the whole time. Don't tell me. I need to know what you've done. I'm not going to be pushing you or supporting you unless I've seen your track record, bro. That's the only way you're going to get my support and get my vote is your track record. What is your track record in the Black community? What is your track record with the children of the Black community? What is your track record with the educational system in the Black community? What is your track record with prison and prison reform in the Black community? Don't tell me you wrote this book and you went on this circuit and you talked to these people and you're friends of these people and these people are going to support you. Don't tell me about that junk.
What we must do in Jackson, Mississippi, in D.C.,
Brother got them ways,
in
boy.
Maryland, in Gary, Indiana, and Chicago, Illinois, is we have to start drafting an agenda for ourselves. Creating an agenda, creating what we want to see, and then we draft the leadership which represents our agenda.
That's what I've been saying about our community. And a lot of you people saying, well, why are you not supporting it? Why y'all not supporting this person? It's about representing our community. I mean, for your environmentalists out there, I applaud you. I got friends. I get my friend Sandy. She's great. We're going to be getting together soon talking about that. And I want her to see her movement of environmental protection and saving our environment grow. And a couple other people I know here in New York City. I know people that's in the labor movement, that's pushing labor movement, the reformation of Labor Party and things like that, because believe me, it needs to be reformed. The people are not having to say so. It's the board that's having to say so. And they're digging their hands in politicians, pushing. There's need to be a reform. But my thing is, my number one focus is making sure that if you want power, we got to have a deal that you give my people power. You got the drum lead for us. You got a cheerlead for us. You got a drum major for us. You got a drum major our issues. I need to see where have you done it in the past. Don't expect me to do it. Well, you know, the other person it ain't got nothing to do with the other people. You the one coming to me for a vote. And if I don't see nothing, I'm saying no to you. And I'm saying no to the next person and the next person, because I don't care about your parties. I only care about your track record. And if you're genuine and sincere, and what do you have to prove it?
And so we're excited about this energy which is surfacing, but it is time that we concretize it. that we take it from the mystical, from the mysterious, and put it into action and see what we can demonstrate when progressive people come together and have a plan and decide how we're going to change the very scope of this world. And so we have to come to the same understanding that Martin Luther King came to in his last days. Martin had a conversation with Harry Belafonte not long before he died. And what Martin told Harry, he said, listen, Harry, we're going to win this integration struggle. But I'm beginning to wonder if we're not integrating into a burning house. He said, I see a system which is abusing labor and abusing working people. And he said, I'm worried about integrating into a house that looks like that. He said, if people can't be fed, if people can't take care of their families, then it is useless to walk Mississippi roads together. And so ultimately, it becomes greater than a question of color and more a question of ideas. And what are the best ideas?
Now, I have to push back on the brother. You know, I ain't gonna allow that to happen. We often talk about the conversation that Harry Belafonte had with Dr. Martin Luther King. But we never talk about the conversation that Dr. Martin Luther King had with Stokely Carmichael. Not only did he talk about leading his people into a burning fire of integration, meaning we're burning away our true ingenuity as a people in our community. We're by us melting into other communities, we often identify ourselves as a melting pot and not our heritage. See, a lot of time these leaders want to use the melting pot mindset to get us to erase our lineage, and we can't do that. And nobody really talks about, I can understand him not discussing that because of his environment where he's at. He's at a progressive convention. And a progressive convention ain't all Democrats. I think Green Party members were there, other party. I mean, it wasn't about running as a Democrat, but even though a lot of people go say, like Suge Knight said, if you get tired of people dancing in the videos, you know, all up in your, all on your songs, come to death row, you're going to have a lot of Democrats that's saying the same thing. If you want to see real movement, then vote Democrat, but vote progressive Democrat. When that whole thing was about progressive ideas, pushing forward progressive ideas, workman's equality and things like that. And that's okay. So I guess he had to speak according to that. But we know his daddy put in him that, nah, we need to have liberation for black people first. Because there's a lot of people that's in that room got liberation and they ain't black. But we understand where you at, bro. But still need to fight for liberation for black people in every area of life. And we need to look in every nook and cranny where black people are broke and shine a light on it so that broke can be fixed.
And what are the worst ideas? And what the worst ideas are is that you can be oppressive to anyone. And so we now demand that our leadership looks at how we include the people's voice in the process. And that we have two choices. We have a choice of economics by the people and for the people, or economics by a few people for themselves. And so we're demanding right now that we begin to rescue ourselves. Right now, as my comrade said, we have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you so much.
That was Jackson, Mississippi.
Now, he may have been talking in cold speak because there's nobody. What chains are most American have? The chains of poverty, probably. Ain't nobody have more chains on themselves than we do. So yes, people say, Rob, you know, you used to be, you know, Bernie this, Bernie that, you know, you was part of the progressive movement. I liked you, man. I really liked you. But you don't need to talk about pushing progressives into office and stuff like that. I'm pushing people in office that's going to commit to building my community. You can be a progressive thinker. You can be a conservative thinker. I am multinational. I have conservative ideas. I have some liberal ideas, and I have some progressive ideas. I'm not an anomaly. I'm not one-sided, and most Americans are not like that. If you got a agenda that's going to help uplift my community, you got my ear and you got my eye. And if you work yourself right, you might have my vote. But until then, I'm watching you. I'm listening. I'm looking at you. And if you smell like a BSer, I'm going to call it out. And if you're pushing BS, I'm going to call you out for pushing BS. Now, I'm not going to go in this, continue to watch this, but he said he planned to build a radical America. He said we need to stop thinking about other people. Now, recently, we just did a video on how they're trying to use white supremacy and white power in the House in Mississippi, in the state legislature, to widen Jackson, Mississippi, because it's too black. That particular area is too black. So let's get some more white people in the structure of Jackson, Mississippi by extending its districts about 25 miles. Let's include these white neighborhoods in the whole of Jackson, Mississippi. And let's get some judges in there, and let's get some police in there to be part of the Mississippi police force. Not that they don't already have enough whites in the Jackson, Mississippi Police Department, the Sheriff Department, and things like that. But let's find a way to get more whites in the, and whites in the neighborhood and stuff like that. And that's fine. That's fine if you really, really want to, how can I say it? If you really, really, because we would demand that as black people, we would demand that we get opportunity to be a part of that neighborhood. But the point is, we've taken majority of the neighborhood, and they want Jackson back. I'm just going to say it like this. They want Jackson, Mississippi back because Jackson is the capital, and they don't want the capital to be predominantly black. So they're going to move sneaky, conniving, ship-shaping to find a way to get it back. So we'll propose legislation under your nose to take it back. We're going to vote on it, and they voted on it, and they voted on it in a majority. And this mayor has to fight that. But this mayor, who got overwhelmingly elected by black people in the high 90s, black people need to be backing him if he's fighting against this, and he should be fighting against this, and should be saying, no, we're not going to widen the district. Keep that district the way it is. We're not going to widen that. We're going to not allow you to infiltrate the voting in Jackson, Mississippi, all because we predominantly run Jackson, Mississippi. We're not going to allow that to happen. You run your city. You got lawmakers who are voting on this that don't live in the city. But I like Jackson, Mississippi. I know you do. And I like the way it was. And I know you wanted to go back the way it was. You don't like the way it is. And that's why you came up with this mess. And you probably got financial endeavors involved in it too. Well, recently, you know about the Jackson water crisis, and the mayor complained about the water crisis. And I just had that video up. Let me pull that up again. I just had the video. Just give me a moment. I just erased it. Everybody on. Jimmy Dore on. Everybody on. I can't compete with those guys. Mayor on the water crisis. All right, so the mayor began to talk about the lack of assistance that he was getting from the governor. And he actually did news rounds, as you can see all this, concerning that. See what he had to say. Minus the commercials. That brother got a beard on him. He got that Shaolin master beard.
Jackson in the front of the line where they're trying to get water to the people. Set the scene for us, Trevor.
Sure. So, Kira, where we are is where they are just about to start handing.
Into what the mayor's saying, and let's keep our conversation going.
Now, oftentimes, and I know this kind of long, I think sometimes these disasters are happenstance. When you get black leadership in here, you got to bring a crisis on the black leadership to prove to them whether they're weak or strong, in the hopes that they're weak, so nobody can have confidence in this black leadership. We're going to bring a crisis because we believe 9 times out of 10 they're not going to handle the crisis, which gives us a shot to take the city back. Well, you know about the Jackson, Mississippi water crisis. The mayor been trying to get clean water and get that crisis taken care of, and the governor been laxy-daisy, so the mayor began to hit on the governor concerning the situation.
Here we go.
Foremost, the city of Jackson has not distributed any untreated raw water. That is inaccurate. But we do encourage our residents to continue to abide by the boil water notice that has been in effect. I thank the leadership from.
Now, why do they have to apply by the boil water? Because Joe Biden, nobody is going all out to provide water for Mississippi. Now, I mean, Trump didn't even provide water for Mississippi. He's a so-called billionaire, but he did for those people over there in, in Pennsylvania, because the demographics of whites are higher over there in that area than black. But had Jackson, Mississippi been predominantly white, Trump would have been there quick, fast, in a hurry. Got you guys some water. He would have been there quick, fast, in a hurry. So because that the government is being so slow, the governor is probably blocking efforts. Desperate time calls for desperate measures, and you have to go by the boil water policy. It's not like he's saying this ain't no Obama situation. Look here, can I have some water? Oh, yeah. I'm not kidding. I need a glass of water, and barely drink it.
The state for reiterating this boil water notice that has been in effect for several days. I also want to clarify and make clear, because this was a rumor that got out, that the city of Jackson has not cut off water to any resident. We never cut off water. The lack of water was due to a lack of pressure in the system, which we stated was complicated by the flood waters that we received. It is because of our transparency that the state is aware of the many challenges that our system is facing. It is because of our transparency that we know about the staffing shortages. It is because of our transparency that they know about the system issues. And it is because of our transparency they know about the numerous equipment failures that we have. This is a set of accumulated problems based on deferred maintenance that has not taken place over decades. So let's talk about what we do next. Let's look forward to the united front that we have now announced and we look forward to. We're grateful to add the state to our team for the betterment of our city, Jackson, and our water system. With the state advising us and assisting us, we look forward.
The state advising y'all and assisting y'all
to the myriad of improvements that are sure to come. I want to thank all of the volunteers. I want to thank all of the city employees that have been tuned into this challenge daily. I want to thank the support of Hinds County and their leadership that have been instrumental in supporting the city of Jackson over the years, distributing water year after year and crisis after crisis. And so I think it is imperative that we all keep our eye on the ball. We were here 2 Februaries ago where we had system-wide failures and the world was watching us. And the world is watching us again. And so we must continue to elevate our voices and say that the residents of Jackson are worthy. They are worthy of a dependable system. And we look forward to a coalition of the willing that will join us in the fight to improve this system that has been failing for decades. With that, I will open the floor for any questions that you have.
Now you can go back and watch this, but let's see what the Mississippi governor, he's blaming the mayor for the water crisis.
Over the last several days, the mayor has irrevocably broken the unified command system that was put in place on August the 29th to deal with the absolute and total incompetence of this mayor and this administration. They have proven that they have no ability to manage the water system up until August the 29th. In fact, there was a citywide boil water notice for 30 days prior to that.
Now, remember what I said earlier. Whenever Black leadership take a position, especially if it's outside of a particular party in power, Democrat, Republican governorship, Democrat leadership, or vice versa, a crisis happened. And they will use that crisis to prove that this guy don't need to be mayor, our guy need to be mayor. And we're going to have this guy run against this guy because he don't know what he's doing. A lot of times these crises are not just made up. They came up with these crises. You know, now the water situation, that's been going on for a while in Jackson, Mississippi. It's still going on a while in Flint, Michigan, and all over the United States. These water crises keep happening because the state don't want to give the city the money, and the government, the United States, don't want to give the money to fix the system. And if you don't fix the system, it's going to continue to, you'll fix it temporarily, then it break again. You fix it temporarily, and it break again, and you're going to continue to have these water crises. It's not the mayor's fault because he didn't get the what he needed to get this thing fixed. It's the leadership problem. State, United States, they don't want to help fund this. The mayor they're going to come out of his pocket to get it done. Most of the funding for the city, for various cities, come from the state. But he wants to blame this man for it. He's broken the protocol. He's unaware. He's not fit.
And it led to the point that we were in a position in which it was clear that the likelihood was that there would be no running water in the city of Jackson. Now, the mayor is going on national TV.
Now, why would there be no running water? If they have to cut off the water, it's because something horrible is going to happen to the water. Something is getting in. The water is already bad anyway. You're going to make it worse by not cutting it off temporarily to fix the system. The ticket is, what were you doing as governor to help people while the water was cut off? It's like me, I'm from Florida. When the water system depends on a certain river or a lake or a certain dam, if that water get tainted, we got to cut it off. But we find some ways to accommodate you if you need to take a bath, accommodate you if you need to cook, because we'll give you fresh, clean water if we have to order it outside or we have to ship it in outside.
And blame that on a lot of things. He's going to local press conferences and blame that on a lot of things. But what we have proven over the last 52 days is the water struggles in Jackson were specific to the incompetence of this administration and this mayor. Now,
water struggles were happening before he even became mayor. The water struggles that happens within the city, even though a city public works department, it still takes state funding to keep that system running smooth. So you're at fault too, sir. See, this guy, he's just not, he wants his boys to take over that area. And they want to drive people out of that area. Let me hurry up and finish this.
what we did when we came in on August the 29th is we set up a unified command structure. We named both the Department of Health and the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency as leads on that. And literally within 72 hours, we had ensured and restored water pressure throughout the system to the entire city of Jackson. Less than 72 hours.
So he wants to take credit for it. You could have did that with helping him. You wanted him to fail so you can come in and look like the heroes. It's old as dust, man. Create a crisis. You appear to be the solution to the crisis, and everybody look at you as a hero. When you actually committed a crisis, and you want to blame him for various reasons.
Less than 15 days later, we were able to lift the boil water notice. Again, running water systems isn't that challenging. It's not that difficult. In fact, there's over 1,100 water systems in Mississippi. If you parlay that over 50 states, there's probably 30 to 40 to 50,000 water systems across America. If there are over 1,100 in the state of Mississippi, and I've been in office now for almost 19 years, if you consider that every single morning I wake up and decide either we're going to take over a water system or we're not, over 19 years, I've made over 8.
See, he just admitted that he controls the water system. He controls the takeover or not. They could have took this over from the jump start. They wanted this guy to fail for various reasons. You got the son of a black nationalist who could be a black nationalist himself running what used to be a strong Confederate city. We got to cause problem for this guy, and we got to look like we're the heroes.
0.2 million decisions to not take over water systems in the state of Mississippi. Only once have I ever had to make the decision to sign an emergency proclamation so as to ensure that water was delivered to the city.
And why is that, sir?
To the residents of this great city.
And why is that?
This city was once a great city.
See?
It has the potential to be a great city again. What the mayor has done.
All this is because blacks took over the city. And they want to make the city look like the most horrible place in the world. Jackson, Mississippi is still a great city, even with black people running. But they lost a stronghold, a heritage, their heritage to the black community. And if you're a person that's in power, we're going to do whatever we can to take that back. I'm telling you right now, this governor and his comrades in the state, in the House, state Senate, going to be targeting mayors, and they may cause crisis to get these mayors to look bad because they got to do whatever they can by any means necessary. Like this brother said in the speech, they're going to do whatever they can to try to smear you out of office, push you out of office so they can take back the city and say they can do redistricting and everything. Look what they're doing so far. And most of these people don't even live in the city. And he gave the jig up right now. Like I told you, this is the reason why they're doing it.
City, and it has the potential to be
See?
So as to ensure that water was delivered to the city and to the residents of this great city. This city was once a great city, and it has the potential to be a great city again. What the mayor has done over the last 3 days has irrevocably broken that unified command structure. What the mayor has done is said, you know what? Back in late August and early September, when the city didn't have adequate resources because of their broken budget system to actually buy chemicals, the mayor was nowhere to be found.
And why was the system, why was the city broken, Mr. Governor? Why? Why? Money is not going into those cities. Why? Because you guys don't want it to. And if money was attempted to come, you'll find some way to block it.
But the state of Mississippi stepped up and bought those chemicals to ensure that there was water delivered. When it was
create a crisis, become the solution. That's all this is. I mean, I can let this play through. I'm done with this guy. There's some weird things going on in Mississippi. They recently had a guy go around and shoot a bunch of people up, but you didn't hear that in the news. Mass shooting. 6 people, I think, 7 people. Guy just went around and shot a bunch of people for no reason. You didn't hear about it in the news. They trying to use the state majority to take control of a city by appointing. Them appointing, not you voting, them picking and appointing, not Trump, them picking and appointing prosecutors, DAs, and all that for Jackson, Mississippi. Not the voters of Jackson, Mississippi, the state. Why? Because they want to widen out the perimeters and include white citizens in another part of town to be part of Jackson, Mississippi. And we want to create a police force to make sure that we start our process of taking over Jackson, Mississippi by using that special police to push black people out of that city. Now we're talking about the water crisis, and this guy wants to blame the mayor when he just admitted that we make the decisions on what to do with the water. And because he didn't do what we wanted done, we took it over to try to fix it because he failed. No, he ain't failed. You just didn't want to work with this black brother because you didn't like him and you didn't like his daddy. And he represents black representation in Jackson. 90% of the vote, black people is running pretty much what used to be a white racist segregation town built on racism, is now part of a black majority city. And you don't like that, and you just made it. It was a great city. It could be great again. The only reason it's not great is because you guys pull crap like this, because you want to play politics. You know, the state have a lot of money that they're supposed to be giving to Jackson, Mississippi. They give it to other cities, and they fund a lot of programs and you know, just a lot of stuff. The state get the money. That governor don't want to send none of it over there because he want this guy to fail. Now, I'm going to stay tuned to the Jackson crisis. I'm going to stay tuned to this brother to make sure he be like his dad and don't take no stuff. The situation with them, the House voting for this, y'all shouldn't be putting up with this. Y'all need to be down there shutting stuff down right now to the second to make them repeal this thing. Brother, you supposed to be a liberator like your dad. You're supposed to be a congregator. You're supposed to have the power to get people together to mobilize to stop certain things or to push certain things. You being in a position of power as mayor like your dad was, you got to use that position to say, hey, people of this community, majority black, but red, yellow, black, and white can join us. Let's go down there and stop this. This is our town. We cannot let these right-wing extremists take over no more than we can let the left-wing extremists. This brother he don't appear to be a left-wing extremist. He don't appear to be a conservative Democrat or a corporate Democrat. Either don't appear, but he's just he seemed like a person who wants to help build his community up, predominantly black, his community up to a stellar level and lead them. And he don't want no outside forces trying to tell them what to do. Either way, we got to stay tuned to this. And people in other cities, you have to stay tuned to what's going on in your city. And what these guys doing, if it doesn't favor you, you need to get on them. You need to ride their back. Y'all need to be on this governor's back. And you need to reinforce this person, this mayor, that you got his back as long as he got your back. If he started kissing the governor behind, you need to get on his butt too. Y'all should be out there in the hundreds of thousands, if that's that many of you, statewide, black people and people of all colors, can join black people out there demonstrating against this water situation and how the governor is trying to trying to make this mayor look like a failure so he could take over and look like a hero, creating a crisis to solve the crisis to look like a hero. And you need to be out there stopping these people who don't even live in Jackson, Mississippi, from voting on redistricting and trying to regentrify Jackson, Mississippi. Deion Sanders, everybody need to be calling them out. I know you're not there no more, Deion, but you got relationship with those kids in that town and their parents in that town if they live in that town. You got a relationship with that town, bro. You need to be side by side with this mayor, calling this brother out, calling this man out, and calling that state senate out. I mean, it shouldn't have, I mean, not states. This thing should have never passed the House. But you guys got to get out your house and go to that house and shout them down. If not, the city ain't the only thing they're going to take. You talking about, oh, they're going to set you back 20 years. It's not voting Democrats that's doing that. It's a lack of the people in positions of power to stand up for the community, number one. And it's the lack of the community standing up for the people in power who's actually standing up for your community. Y'all need to be working together to get these people from out the way and move them out the way so you continue to progress in that town, running that town in a stellar manner, beautifying that town, making it a haven for people of all colors to come to so they can see what Black excellence is all about. I'm Bobby Brown with the Bobby Brown Show. I know this went long. It's my third one, going on an hour. Hit like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell to make sure it's on always. Make sure you go back to check if you subscribe, because if you haven't watched me in a while, and a lot of it is my fault, they probably unsubscribe you, so you might need to resubscribe. And if you want to support the stream, never do it through never, ever, ever, ever do it through Super Chat. If you got a question you want to ask me, put it in the chat line and support me through PayPal. Now, somebody said, have you heard the song Bobby Brown Goes Down? Yeah. I ain't going nowhere, but brother, all day, every day. I'll let you later. Peace.